You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 46. Science shows this is the fastest way to change your behavior. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hey there, do you have a great idea for a topic I should cover on the podcast? I would love to hear from you. Click the link in the show notes and tell me what you think I should talk about next. Hello, my friend. I'm so pleased that you're here with me today. I hope you're doing fantastically well and having a great day. How was your Vegas getaway last week? I hope it was informative and relaxing in a way that an actual trip to Vegas would not be. Today, we're going to talk about what research shows is the fastest way to change your behavior. We know that the way to change our life and our health is to change the things we consistently do. Easy, right? Why isn't it? Well, we are efficiency machines. We are programmed to use the smallest amount of thought and effort possible to do things. This isn't bad. It's not because we're lazy. It helps us in so many ways. I don't have to use a whole day's worth of brain power to remember to brush my teeth and put on deodorant or drive my kids safely to school, charge my phone, go to the gym, write the letters of the alphabet, or dice an onion. Those things are all on autopilot and delegated to my lower brain. We don't have to think about things that we have repeated so many times. They've become ingrained, and that's a very good thing. But when we want to uningrain something, it takes some effort. That's okay. Once we groove a new pattern, that will be on autopilot and we'll do what we intended to without even thinking about it. This is what I hope to help you do as your coach. Make it easy on yourself while simultaneously making other people think that you've got some kind of new superpower. Have you ever flown a plane? I actually have. Well, kind of. I guess not really. My Uncle Ray was a pilot with a small personal plane, and he let me fly it once, as in he did absolutely everything important, and then he just let me turn the yoke to steer us while we were in the air and push the pedals to steer us while we are on the ground. It would be about the same as if a toddler told you he's driven before because once his mom let him turn the steering wheel half an inch. But if you were to fly a plane for real, you'd need a pretty good understanding of how forces act on your aircraft. Thrust, drag, lift, gravity, they all play a part, and you need to be able to respond to them in order to safely put your plane where you want it in the air or on the ground. There's an awesome book by Sean Young called Stick With It, where he talks about 7 forces that push and pull us to do certain behaviors. He deliberately calls them forces instead of principles because we learn to respond to them like a pilot would plan for and adjust to forces on her aircraft. Pretty cool. I love his scientific approach to modifying our behavior however we choose based on validated studies. He's a professor at UCLA Medical School, the director of the UCLA Institute of Prediction Technology and Center for Digital Behavior. He has a PhD in psychology and a master's in health services, both from Stanford. Before that, he studied music at UCLA and auditioned for and was invited to join the band that became Linkin Park. No way! How do people have time to do all this much amazing stuff? They must purposefully design their behavior. In his book, Sean Young says, changing your character is easier said than done. Every individual has a core personality that doesn't change much throughout life. Fortunately, you don't need to change who you are as a person to make change last. You just need to understand the science behind lasting change and how to create a process that fits who you are. End quote. So good. That's what I'm talking about. Let's create a plan with an accompanying process that guarantees you'll be who you're capable of being. There are 6 other forces that are interesting and important, but today we're going to focus on the one that is proven to be the fastest way to permanently change your behavior. Any guesses what speeds things up and keeps you consistent? Another bonus with it is that it's often pretty easy and usually really fun. Are you sold? The science is unequivocal. One of the fastest ways to change your behavior is to join a community where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. When you join a community with high standards, the best version of you is the one who shows up more quickly and more consistently. This makes some sense, right? We know we're social animals who are hardwired to fit in. Whether we want to or not, we tend to mirror the behavior of those around us to a certain extent. Hey there! I wanted to quickly interrupt and let you know that it's so much less of a struggle to consistently dominate your health choices when the thoughts you think naturally nudge you toward what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to more consistently rock your healthy behaviors, I have a completely free 18-minute mini course for smart women like you who know that sometimes a quick mind flip can go a long way. Click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/mini for this free mini course on 6 thoughts people who consistently rock their health choices think, and start putting one of them to good use inside your head today. My 12-year-old is obsessed with that TV show Brain Games. Have you seen it? They've done quite a few experiments that show that even if we're really smart, we tend to go along with the crowd. They had one experiment in an ophthalmologist's waiting room where they told a group of people that every time a beep sounded, they all needed to stand up and then sit back down. All the group in the waiting room at the time were in on the show except for one. Gradually, all of the show people left the waiting room, leaving just the one girl. So she kept doing it, and all kinds of other people came and went, and they all stood up with every beep too because one girl was doing it. Nobody refused or questioned why. They just did it because that's what you do. If we're clear on what behavior we'd like to change, joining a community of people who value acting the way we'd like to act can be monumental. A lot of what we do is dictated by culture and custom, so if we surgically implant ourselves into a culture with customs we admire, we'll start to fit in without feeling like we have to beat ourselves into submission. You've probably experienced this before. When you hang around runners, you start thinking, well, maybe you'd like to try a 5K. When you spend a lot of time with fashionistas, your style gets more attention and priority. We start using the same language, talking about market corrections, derivatives, and portfolio rebalancing. It's natural, and it can be really fun. You can learn new, interesting things from the people around you and grow and develop into a new identity. Just hearing other people's perspectives is huge. It's fun to have reasons to connect with others and fun to see yourself progress. Likewise, you've probably heard before that obesity is contagious. A 2007 study shows that your chance of becoming obese increases by 57% if your best friend is obese. I would say that this contagious nature is true for a lot of things, like negativity and criticism, but probably also cheerfulness, generosity, and faith. We've all heard the famous Jim Rohn quote that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether that's precisely true or not, we are definitely influenced by others. What we choose to do with our time, our habits and our mindset, but also what is considered normal. If you've been here for more than one episode, then bless you and thank you and I love you. And you know that it's important to me that you not be normal in terms of our sick care pill for an ill culture that calls debilitating degeneration and suffering part of normal aging. Part of being part of a community is that things get normalized. If everyone else is downing extremely large portion sizes, stopping at gas stations for sodas, paying for subscriptions to every service under the sun, or seeing every social media post within 2 minutes, it starts to seem like that's not so bad. They're not dead yet, and I'm not as addicted as the guy 2 houses down. He's really got a problem. We're not that bad. There is power in having desirable behaviors become normalized within your community. Talking and passing to people you associate with about qualifying for the Boston Marathon, a new Whole30 food you discovered that you love, when the next farmer's market will be, or how breathwork has improved your cycling endurance, changes your psyche. Having the sacred opportunity to support and cheer on others who are doing hard things inspires you to do hard things yourself. Encouraging someone who's a little farther down the path than you shows that what they're doing is possible for you too. Turning around and helping the person who's a little behind you on the path is also helpful to you. The best way to learn is to teach, and being looked to as the example for someone else elevates your own behavior. It's fantastic in different ways going both directions. And being the one supported yourself by people on either side of you also lifts your spirits and encourages you to keep going. A lot of people think that once you become well-read, then you'll join a book club. Or once you get really good at improv, then you'll join a jam session. But actually, what helps you become someone who belongs there is to join and participate. Obviously, everything needs to line up in terms of their entry requirements and your willingness to put in the work, but just the act of becoming a member of the community changes you, and it keeps you consistent. Instead of getting all excited about the idea and possibilities and then slowly drifting back to your status quo, not because you're a bad person or not strong enough to cut it, but just because we naturally return to our most deeply ingrained habits. You keep up with the changes when they are the normal group behavior. You keep nurturing your garden, going out of your way to find grass-fed meat, going to bed on time, hiking, or saving for retirement. Wisdom is awesome and important. I love to passively learn. You know, when people ask you, if you could do anything and money were no object, what would you do? My answer is always that I would be a perma student. I'd be happy going to college forever and perhaps taking breaks to travel and do humanitarian projects. But the point is, I love to consume information. It's fun to take classes. I like taking notes and imagining what's possible and how things fit together. Information gets you pointed in the right direction, but all of that knowledge is pretty much worthless if you don't apply any of it. If you don't actually do something different consistently, knowing the theory of it doesn't matter. It doesn't change your life until you act. The easiest way to take that wisdom into your life and actually do the work is to share time and brainwaves and ideas and encouragement and frustrations and struggles and love with a community of like-minded people who are fighting the good fight in their own lives. There's something magical about getting together with people who are playing the same game with the same intense commitment to play it well. It elevates all of you in a way that nothing else can. It's very different than just passively consuming information, comfortable and safe as that may be. So, what are you working on in your life? Could you make it easier, funner, and happen more quickly by joining a community of people who are doing the same thing? What kind of community would you like to join? Maybe a financial independence retire early group, or a meditation challenge, a powerlifting group, meal prepping masters. Those are all things I'd be interested in. My boys and I just listened to a podcast about Mensa. Maybe those are your people. We learned that for many years now, the Mensa name tags for meetings have all had colored dots indicating how open you are to hugs. Green means you love hugs from everyone. Yellow is ask before hugging, and red is do not touch me. That's genius. No, I do like that idea though. But seriously, community is a force, and it can be a powerful one. How else would people end up burning everything they own, having tons of communal Rolls Royces? That was a real cult thing in Oregon in the 80s. Giving up all their money, sacrificing children, or committing mass suicide. Being part of a group changes us. Obviously, we want to be selective about which community we participate in and still use our critical reasoning skills. But the point is that the force of community can overcome a lot of the obstacles that hold us back when we're trying to go it alone. I would encourage you to give some thought to how a community can help you be more of who you want to be, both as a giver and as a receiver. If the change you're looking to make is focused and consistent action on your health habits so that you're ready to age like a professional and have energy and strength for decades to come, I'd love for you to join up with me in creating an awesome community of women committed to putting our health knowledge into action and closing the gap between who we're actually being and who we're capable of being, physiologically and psychologically, and having fun along the way. There will be no suffering allowed. If you're listening to this in May of 2022, please get on the interest list and become one of the founding members of my Health Courage program and help me build it the way it will be most useful to you. There will be a community aspect. on its own platform, separate from Facebook or anything, so you wouldn't have to use any kind of social media to be able to connect and interact. It's all brand new, so I'm not sure exactly what it will be like yet, and I can't really force other people to be active and awesome participants, but I can promise that I'm committed to showing up there and interacting with you in positive ways to help you become who you're capable of becoming. Whether you join and help build my community or a different one, I encourage you to leverage the strength of a good group of good people in moving you forward on your journey. Science has shown it's the quickest way to make and maintain change. Thank you so much for being here today. Your time is valuable, and I really appreciate you. Next week, we're going to talk about a controversial topic called sunscreen. Until then, participate in a community with high standards and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.